I recommend Sutera to not only growers and colleagues here in the Central Valley of California, but to other growers across the world. They offer top quality products to help you grow and sustain a healthy crop.
Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with Pacific Nut Producer Magazine, reporting to you from the annual conference of the Almond Board of California. One of the Almond Board representatives, Gabriele Ludwig, is here today with us talking about some changes with the DPR and the regulations surrounding the soil fumigation, specifically with Talone. Obviously, fumigation is a critical component of our pest and disease management and up in the forefront of things, right? So it's something that's widely used. I wanted to talk about some of those changes, which is up for comment right now. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, thank you. Just to give you a heads up, so DPR has been required to revise the regulations of Talone or 1,3-dichloropropene. Those draft regulations have come out. They're open through comment, I think, through January 18th. And I think some key elements for growers to understand is it gets rid of township caps, but in return, tree and vine growers now either have to use a TAF tarp or they have to inject at 24 inches instead of 18 inches, plus have a water seal or something else to reduce the off-gassing, especially the initial off-gassing. And then the other big changes are it becomes more like other soil fumigants where there are buffer zones depending on the rates and time of year, and the depth of application or type of application, as well as size of acres that can be treated in one fell swoop limitations. So it's worth taking a closer look to see what the impacts will be. It clearly will probably make things more complicated to use Talone. On the other hand, does open up sometimes some months, which currently you haven't been able to use Talone because you're getting rid of the township caps and you're getting rid of the limitations of not being able to use it in December and January.
Right, so you said there's a comment period through mid-January, right?
Yeah, through January 18th.
And then as far as making a comment, this thing's going down, right, whether we like it or not. But would you encourage growers to get involved, industry representatives to get involved in this comment period?
The short answer is yes, because the more DPR can understand, hear what the impacts are, sometimes there's things that, even though they've tried to ask questions in the forefront before they put the regulations together, some things haven't been thought about. Just a small example, I was going through the details of all these different methods, and I noticed they had one method listed for 18 inches, but they didn't have that same method listed for 24 inches, which it clearly says up front, any tree or vine, you have to do it at 24 inches unless you're using a TIF tarp. And so I sent an email like, hey, what about this method, which is using essentially spot treatments? And they're like, well, we weren't sure if that was being used or not. If it is, let us know, we can add it. So it's really probably more the details, but I think the other thing is really looking at, so for your operation, if you were to replant an orchard and you think through how much time is it going to take you to actually complete the fumigation given these size limitations, given the buffer zones? How is that going to actually work for you? The more information you can either provide directly to DPR or provide it to the Almond Board or the Almond Alliance so we can incorporate it into comments.
Right. Well, thank you for taking the time and your efforts to serve the industry through these challenges and changing regulations. It's really sometimes hard to wrap our minds around, so we really appreciate your good work.
I will say this one did take me a while to translate into something intelligible. It was crossing.
Well, thank you so much. Read more about these things in Pacific Nut Producer Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.